Councillor to Labour Committee Chairman. Can I do apologies for absence first, please?
No apologies, Chairman.
Thank you. Any declarations on the Part 1 items? No, thank you. Minutes of the 12th of July and the 1st of August were in the bundle. Can I take those agreed? Thank you very much. We are taking the agenda that was published. So item 6, the petition item, items 7 and 8 are public but non-petition, and we have 2 enforcement reports in private. The public part of the meeting is live on the Council's YouTube website. The cameras face this way, so all of those round this table are visible, and then whoever addresses us on behalf of petitioners on item 6 will also be visible. Can I please ask that everybody speaks clearly into their microphones in order that the YouTube is audible. We're not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm goes, we will be leaving that way or that way. I will do speaking rights in a moment when we get to it, because there's only one, so it's just as easy to do it at that point. The voting members of committee tonight, I only get a vote if they manage to get a tie, and as there's 8 of them, that is numerically possible, but not likely, but numerically possible. So the voting members of committee tonight, and I'll start on my left. We have Councillor Oswald, Councillor Filey, and Councillor Sansapuri, and then Councillor Flynn, Councillor Higgins, Councillor Haggard, Councillor Radia, and Councillor Tuckwell. Highways tonight, Richard Michalski. My brain's gone now tonight. Matt Kolczewski, thank you, is our presenting officer. James Rogers, the head of planning officer's advice. Liz Penny is my clerk. Glenn Egan is our legal officer, and Kelly Monroe is sitting there taking notes to appear at a future meeting, I suspect. That is it. When we get to the petition item, officers will present on all items a PowerPoint in addition to the report the members have already had and read. There is a small addendum as well, which members have already had. Petitioners get 5 minutes to address us. You get 4 minutes on the green light, 1 on the amber, and you get to red. That's enough. Members may ask questions or they may not. On any item with a petition, the applicant or their agent is entitled to speak, but I'm guessing as there's only 4 people in the room, that's not happening, and there are no ward councillors have indicated they wish to speak. With that done, I will take item 6, please, 287 West End Road.
Thank you, Chairman. The proposal is to demolish the existing bungalow and replace it with a 2-storey brick building with habitable roof space, parking and amenity space to form 3 1-bedroom and 2 2-bedroom self-contained flats. A crossover is also proposed on West End Road. So just show members the plans here. You've got the site in red. Members will note there's the bungalow there. It is set forward quite significantly of the rest of the houses on this part of West End Road, very close to the back edge of the pavement. This is the existing site layout with the bungalow there. This is the proposed layout with the 5 flats and the parking spaces, 3 parking spaces to the front and 2 to the back, utilising an existing dropped curb which is positioned in that location. This is the proposed building. You'll note it is the same height, 8.8 metres, as the adjoining dwelling at number 283 West End Road. It is actually 283. Don't know where 285 disappeared to, but it doesn't exist. The layout's here for you members, and some more elevations, aerial photos, and I'll just take you through some photos. That's from the street. You can just see the roof of the bungalow. That's number 283 next door. It's 283. That's the back of 283. That's the side of 283. And I've double checked on the approved plans for this loft extension, and these are both actually staircase windows according to those plans, so non-habitable. These are some photos from the back garden of the bungalow. Apologies, but my I'll just go through those to show you, just give you some context. And there's the front of the bungalow. Again, the front from the, sorry, I didn't mean to put that in the councillor's eyes. The front of the bungalow there from West End Road. And also just some photos of Google Street View, just to give you some context. There's number 283 with the bungalow sort of slightly in a distance there. And from the opposite side with Edwards Avenue there. And this is just to show members that there is actually quite a contrast of buildings already on the site. You've got your sort of standard 3-bed semi-detached houses. The house next door where 283 is actually part of a terrace of 3. You notice the gable end roof there, pitched roofs, and then this house right opposite 287, which is a single family dwelling with gable ended roofs. And just some more contextual photos. The surrounding area is largely characterised by a mix of semi-detached and detached 2-storey dwellings as well as bungalow properties. The proposed building would comprise 5 flats, one of which would be provided within the roof space of the building. The proposed building is 2 storeys in height with a pitched hipped roof, and it's exactly the same height as the adjoining dwelling. The West End Road street scene, as I've just sort of explained, is characterised by a variety of 2-storey dwellings and single-storey bungalows. The property immediately adjacent to the site, number 283 West End Road, is the end property in a 2-storey terrace of 3 dwellings. And the properties, as you can see in that photo, opposite are also 2 storeys. Given that there is no particular or predominant pattern or character of development along West End Road, it is considered that on balance a 2-storey block of flats with a pitched, hipped roof and 2 small rear dormers is in keeping with the overall character of the area and of the street scene and the area in general. The application is a corner property, and as such the only property that would be potentially impacted is number 283 West End Road. The only windows in the side elevation of this house, as I said earlier, are non-habitable landing windows, which appear to already be obscure glazed. It is therefore considered that no detrimental overlooking or loss of light to habitable rooms would occur. Furthermore, whilst the proposed building is closer to number 283 and forward of its building line, it is nevertheless set back from the existing building line of the bungalow at 287, and the 45-degree line at ground and first floor levels is not breached from number 283. As such, it is considered that the proposed building would not have a detrimental impact on the amenities of the adjoining occupiers. Take members to the addendum, a few changes. There's a change to a part of the report, which I've rewritten because within the report doesn't make much sense. We also want to amend condition 8 to include reference to the 5 car parking spaces and the 5 cycle parking spaces, and also change condition 5 to an informative, because the landscaping condition 8 already covers this point, and we're just duplicating things. For the reasons summarised, it is recommended that the application be approved. Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Shah? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's fine. That's not a problem. If you press the button when you're ready, it will light up, and we'll start the timers at this end.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity to allow us to speak to the committee. My Chairman, I truly believe the proposed development might be in direct contravention of the Council policies. It does not respect local context and street pattern, or in particular the scale and proportion of surrounding buildings, and would be entirely out of character of the area to the detriment of the local environment. The proposed development would demonstrably harm the amenities enjoyed by local residents, in particular safe and available on-road parking, valuable greenery, privacy, and the right to enjoy quiet and safe residential environment. The proposed dwelling would significantly alter the fabric of the area and amount to serious cramping in an already density area. The proposed site of the development is at such an angle that the primary amenity area of gardens would be severely overlooked from the top floor of the proposed development, resulting in a serious invasion of privacy. It will overshadow and block the sun and air circulation to my residents, and as you both know, sun and air are vital for the growth of my young grandchildren or my children. The drainage system, which is already blocked from time to time, may not be adequate to cope with the extra influx. The parking within the development is proposed at a site of existing greenery, which will lead to the loss of that greenery. Also, the proposed parking is parallel to my driveway and mostly affect my residents. Furthermore, the proposed crossover is very close to my crossover, and two crossovers so close to each other will present danger to school children who already dread crossing West End Road to Bourne Primary School. Due to recent developments at Victoria Road, traffic has become extremely congested on West End Road, and most of the time it takes a person 5 to 10 minutes to negotiate coming out of the driveway. Any further traffic will exacerbate the situation. Many elderly residents, including my father, have lived in this area for 35 years plus, and they now feel that living in the current residence is so stressed because of this development, you may be pushing them out of this area. One of the residents was so furious with this development that she went round the developer's house to complain. He bought her bungalow above market price and is now planning to develop that as well behind our house. If I had the letter, I would bring it. She was furious with him. He went round and said, I'll buy the bungalow for you. What are you worried about?
He has bought it.
He's bought it, sorry. Another resident signed our petition and then came round and crossed the petition out on the basis he was afraid of the consequences. I would like to tell you what the consequences are, but my father has told me not to. Let's just say he thinks the development's going to go through and he's got ways of getting around it. Lastly, many residents have intimidated that I'm wasting my energy and time, and judging from the summary of the report from the head of the planning confirms their suspicions and fears. Nevertheless, I'm convinced that part of this report is based on opinion and not fact. Lastly, actually I have one more point. One more thing, there was a number of residents that were going to come today who signed a petition, but unfortunately due to the time and notice, they could not make it. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I hope the committee will give serious consideration to points I've raised today. This concludes my father's speech, but I would just like to say this is having a detrimental effect on the health of the residents in the area. My father, I've never been so stressed in my life. I've lived there for 35 years, and it actually feels like you're forcing us out of the area. I've gone to Bourne Primary School, my children have gone to Bourne Primary School, and it feels like we're going to have to move because of this. What scares me even more is that he's bought the bungalow behind us when the woman was steadfastly refusing to sell it until he came round with an offer above market price. That concludes my speech. If you have any questions for me or my father or any of the other residents, please let me know.
No, there's not. I can't.
Sorry.
We don't conduct a to and fro here.
Sorry.
If members have any questions for you or your father, those sitting at the table, that's fine.
Okay, apologies.
That's all right. I have to keep the same rules every week, otherwise it goes a bit wrong. Sorry, Councillor Higgins.
Unfortunately, other developments are not relevant to this one, I'm afraid. But are you saying that it's behind your property?
Yes.
Or it is?
The bungalow behind us, the woman wrote a letter to him to complain robustly that she did not want to go ahead with the development. And she wrote a letter to him, went round there with the letter. He then came round our house and left, and then gave her money above the market price. That house is now sitting empty to the point I went past there today, and the Kearns building, which you saw the signs for, are already getting to move in and do stuff.
Okay, that isn't, of course, strictly relevant to this.
But it's
Yeah, if a resident wishes to sell out to a developer, that is their choice. Any other issues that people want to raise with the applicant? The petitioners, rather? No? Okay, thank you very much.
If I say, it comes to intimidation, the way he bought the house.
And the way and we also had a petitioner that came round, signed the petition, came round our house, asked us to take the petition off based on the consequences.
I understand that, but I do have to say that those matters are outside our remit. You have a valid petition.
Chairman, if there's intimidation, that's a matter for the police.
Police, yeah, exactly. Entirely correct. Okay, thank you very much indeed. You've made your points well, so we will now...
My apologies with some of
the
the words I couldn't pronounce.
If you just turn the microphone off for us, and if you can go back to seats. Okay, I'm going to ask, before anybody else comes in, I'm going to ask Highways to talk me through these crossovers, because that's where I'm starting. Because that's one of the bits I wanted to just double check. Richard, can you just explain crossovers and how they match up?
Of course, Chair. To clarify, as we know from Edwards Avenue, there's an existing crossing that won't be altered in any shape or form. to serve 2 spaces, as being pointed out there by my colleague. On the frontage, the new crossing conforms to council's scale standards, and the gapping between the adjacent crossing is in a region of 5 metres, which well exceeds our standards. We can have much closer to 2 metres.
So, therefore, in the opinion of Highways, the crossing arrangement shown actually exceeds the required standards. Yeah.
Correct.
Good. Okay, that's clarification. Councillor Flynn, you're the first one I saw. I don't know who else is. Anybody else coming in? Councillor. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, National has a lot of sympathy with the petitioners who've spoken. However, unfortunately for them, a lot of the things that they raised were not planning considerations. And reading the report, I have to say that this does appear, as far as I can see, to be very much in policy. And I'm struggling to find anything to actually refuse it on, because we've seen the street scene. It looks fairly compatible with the surrounding street scene. Don't seem to be any overlooking issues or rights of light issues. I'm comfortable with the crossover, as the officers explained. So the parking is a 1-to-1 ratio for the number of units. So I'm pretty comfortable actually with this, while I do have sympathy with some of the things that have been raised.
Okay, Councillor Higgins.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of questions. Firstly, can officers assure me that there isn't any overlooking into the rear garden of number 283? Some of these, that's a kitchen living area on ground floor, that's okay. On second floor, is one of these a bedroom? I'm just a bit, as officers know, I'm not that afraid with things. I think most of them are lounge areas that are looking over into the rear garden. I just want to make sure that there isn't an issue there. The other thing is obviously they put an unmarked disabled bay, which is all wonderful, but does that mean one of the flats on the ground floor are for disabled use, or is it just a tick box?
I think that could be a tick box, because the report says M2.
Yeah.
M42, so that's the old Lifetime Homes, not, and of course it is below the threshold that would require it.
Which is a shame, really, but never mind. I do have some sort of, I don't know, as a driver, obviously my smart car would go into all of these spaces, but I am concerned that P4 and P3, if it's a slightly bigger car, how that would actually turn in to those parking spaces. So I don't know, can the Highways officer tell me that there is a diagram somewhere that shows that that can be accomplished?
I'll ask Highways to take that one, and I'll ask Matt to take the bit at the back. I know we've got some skewer glazing as well, which will obviously help allay part of your concerns.
Yes, sure. If I may, there is no specific swept path or turning diagrams made with the submission. However, with the distance parameters with regard to turning within the site, certainly turning into and out of the spaces is achievable. It isn't a public car park, so clearly maybe the situation might be different then. But here, as it's within a private domain, there's certainly enough manoeuvrability within the site.
Thank you very much. Matt, can you just do the overlooking elements of this one?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Chairman. In terms of overlooking of the private gardens, there are no habitable windows facing number 283. In terms of the the ground floor plan, it's sort of irrelevant because you only look out over a fence anyway between us, but it's at the first floor where the
First floor on the top.
Yeah, and the top floor, correct. Yes, so in terms of being able to look out over their garden, like from number 281 at present, where you've got windows facing the back of a house, and any sort of residential layout, pretty much any street in the country, you will be able to look into someone's garden. It's part and parcel of the way the houses are built in this country, so close together at first floor level and at second floor level. That's obviously a ground level plan. Let me just take you to the first floor plan. You've got first floor. It is a lounge, which is a habitable room, and yes, if you stand at the window, you look out, you will, in a 45-degree angle, be able to see the back of the neighbour's garden. Same with, sorry, Councillor Foley, I don't want to point at you, but same with the bedroom windows. Yeah, right here. If you stand in there, yes, you you will be able to see the back of...
That's not untypical, though, is it, of a
No, so
residential
it's
road?
from there, effectively, you'll be able to see.
But there's no
that.
Juliet Fairstein.
No.
No.
And we are, although the report doesn't say it, the head of planning is about to remove any additional windows and doors. The additional windows and doors condition is missing, so that's going to go on in a minute.
Sorry, shall I add that?
Yes, you can take it as read that you'll get that. Councillor Oswald. Oh, sorry, do you have one more? No, you done? Councillor Oswald?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, thank the petitioner for the petition. And yeah, I mean, we do have some sympathy for a number of things, but unfortunately, it's all been covered by Councillor Flynn. Most of the objections have been covered in the report anyway. I wanted to ask about the 10% ceiling on flats. Have we got any idea what it is on West End Road? I know it's an awful long road. Doesn't apply?
I suspect officers don't know. My own knowledge of it, and it's fairly good, is that there aren't that many flatted blocks. There's the former Tally-Ho pub, which is just down the road from this, is the only big one. And there is. I said only big one. I do know the petrol station, but there are one or two dotted around. It's
I think we're all aware of probably what's there. But it probably doesn't exceed the 10%. But anyway, if it's been moved, I'm quite happy to second it. So, with the addendum.
Sorry. Well, if I think did I get a move? Did you move? Yeah, you did move it. It is seconded. We will add. We'll delegate to the head of planning to add the condition about no additional windows and doors. Oh, sorry, Councillor Farley, did you want to add something else before I move
Thank
on?
you, Chairman. I just wanted to ask about the street scene. Are we only looking at it from the perspective of West End Road, or the adjacent roads, so Edwards and is it Marlon or Maylon?
Sorry. I think the officer showed you Edwards Avenue and West End Road.
Was he looking at the junction between them? That each one is a bungalow on those. So I'm just curious as to how the street scene's been looked
A question before we just double check it.
I thought this question would be coming, so
I think there's a pictures.
So, if you go down Edwards Avenue to the junction of, is it Marlon? Let me just show members, this is so this is on Edwards Avenue at the other end. You will note you've got bungalows on three corners, here, oops, sorry, Councillor, and you've got a terrace, two-storey terrace on that corner. So in terms of it being established that you can have a two-storey element with bungalows on the other three corners, that's already established on that road, on the opposite end, well, further up on Marlon. So we did look into that. I did go down. I've actually had a look further down at Edwards Avenue, and there's actually more examples of that further down, so we're comfortable that's actually acceptable.
Can I just make a quick point? Members may know that some of these plans are revision C or D. The design has improved. Members just have to trust me on this, that the design scheme has improved since it was first lodged.
We'll believe you. Okay, we are moved and seconded. I think everybody's done. Very quickly, Councillor Tuckwell.
Yeah, just a quick point. I mean, just to echo what's been said by a couple of my colleagues, that, I'd like to thank the applicants for making their presentation this evening, and a tremendous amount of sympathy with the points that have been made, but the points of concern do not affect planning considerations. So I just needed to get that point out.
Thank you. Okay, we are proposed, we are seconded. We've one additional condition delegated to the head of planning, subject to an addendum. All those in favour, please show. You're abstaining, okay. I have to check which one you're about to get, so, okay, and one abstention. Thank you. That means it's agreed. What you guys do, I have to leave to others. Can I move now, please, to item 7 Breakspear Road. This is a resubmission following a refusal.
Thank you, Chairman. 7 Breakspear Road, North, Harefield. As the Chairman just said, this is a resubmission of a previously refused scheme. The application seeks planning permission for the demolition of the existing conservatory and the erection of a part 2-storey, part single-storey side and rear extension. I'll just talk members through the plans. So if I show you, we've got the site here. the extensions proposed to this building. I'll take you straight to this comparison drawing. So the top grey element is the refused scheme, and the bottom one is the proposed scheme. Now, the refusal here, I'll show you the differences. The side extension here was set forward of the building line. It was refused for that reason, so it wasn't in keeping. And if you note, members, on the bottom drawing here, I'll show members here, so that's the refused element before. You'll note that the ridge line met that element of the scheme. What they've done now, as requested, and as per HDAS, is to keep it in line with the slightly higher element of the roof. Also, this element here, it's not very clear on this, but there's actually a window, a Juliet balcony type window here, as concerns about overlooking previously. What they've done this time is to put a glass balustrade in there to screen any potential overlooking. If I just go through, the proposal includes a single-storey rear extension which replaces the existing conservatory, which is in compliance with HDAS requirements. This two-storey element, this two-storey side extension measures 3.52 in the width, in width, and 10.47 in depth, including a rear projection of 4 metres. The element is set beneath an extended ridge line, and the rear projection is set beneath a hipped roof set down 0.5 metre from the main ridge. The proposed side extension would be set in 1 metre from the boundary and would be less than 2/3 of the width of the property and would comply with HDAS requirements. This proposal has addressed the Conservation Officer's previous concerns, and the open porch feature to the front of the property is retained as existing, which helps to define the character of the original property. To the northwest, number 5 is set back from the shed boundary and will be separated from the proposed extension by approximately 5.5 metres. It is noted that the proposal would not compromise a 45-degree line of sight from the rear first floor windows. To the other side, farm view is also set back from the application proposal by approximately 10.3 metres, separated by their double garage. Given the separation distances between the proposed extensions and neighbouring occupiers, and the presence of existing screening afforded by the flora and vegetation, it is considered that the proposed development would not cause any undue loss of daylight, sunlight, or visual intrusion. For the reasons summarised, it is recommended. Oh, sorry, members, I should take you for photos. I do apologise. So there's the existing house, and the extension. The extension will be there. That's actually the front. It looks like a back garden, but it's a front garden. Give you context of neighbouring properties, existing conservatory that will go, and just some other site photographs of neighbouring properties for context. A lovely ladder. I'll just leave it on that. So, for the reasons summarised, it is recommended that the application be approved. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Higgins.
I don't really have any real issues with this. At least they've adhered to what was before, and it will be fine. The only thing, just some more information really about this banister at the rear now. So is that an actual balcony now, or is it just? It's a bit unclear for me. Before it was. I'm trying to remember when it was last with us. It was a while ago, but yeah, because on the drawings that you gave, Matt, that you was explaining how the change was. Can you just enlighten a bit more? That's the bottom corner.
Yeah. So you can see here on the original refusal.
Yeah.
Can't quite see, but it is a Juliet sort of.
Yeah. So they've taken that away.
That's remaining, but what they're doing, you can just about make it out behind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But they're proposing, that's what I do. You might see it better here. No, not really.
Not really, no.
No, unfortunately not. But it's glass.
So it's like a glass Juliet.
Yeah, so that balustrade is actually on the left-hand side.
Yeah,
of
right.
That
so they can open the doors inwards, but just sit there and you won't be able to see the bottom half.
Go out.
Yeah, you can just see the bottom half of the people.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's
Happy?
no problem. No, that's fine. I'd go with officer's recommendation.
Anybody else got anything on this one? No hands. Then a seconder, please. Oh, Councillor Tuckwell, I'll take you this time. Gets competitive sometimes. All those in favour, please clearly show. Thank you very much. That one is approved. Item 8 is a change of use, A1 to A2.
Thank you, Chairman. This application is for change of use from use class A1 to a use class A1B1 financial services offices. And in addition, the shop front is to be altered. The size of the face will remain as existing. The door would be relocated to the centre of the shop front, and a stall riser would be installed. Just take members through the plans. There we go. Existing and proposed with a door in the middle. The site is not. Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought there. The application site relates to mid-terrace property on the east end of High Street. The property is located within a parade of shops. However, it does not form part of a primary or secondary shopping area and is not in the town centre, and therefore the usual rules of having a certain percentage of A1 uses do not apply. It is considered that a change of use from A1 to A1A2, B1 offices would not be detrimental to the impact, and wouldn't have an impact on the street scene, surrounding area, or the old Northwood area of special local character. For the reasons summarised, it is recommended that the application be approved. Thank you.
And there is a slight change in the addendum, isn't there?
Apologies. We're proposing to delete condition 3, cycle storage, and it's not actually considered to be necessary to provide one cycle space. That was just an overzealous officer. Thank you.
Okay, who wants... go on.
I'll go with officer's recommendation.
Will you now?
As long as that cycle thing's removed.
Yeah, and Councillor Samsapuri with the next hand up, clearly this time. That's proposed and seconded. All those in favour, please clearly show. Thank you very much. Can I now please ask and have confirmation that the live feed is switched off?